Good evening, Shocker families. My name is Alicia Newell, and I am here tonight with our experts to talk to you tonight about your Shocker parent access to your students' records, as well as your student access to textbooks and everything technology available in the Shocker store. So before we get started tonight, for those of you who may never have, maybe this is the first time joining us, welcome. Like I said, my name is Alicia Newell, and I serve as the Assistant Vice President for Student Services. I've been with the university for about almost 20 years. It's hard to say that number. And I am a proud Shocker through and through, a proud alumni. And one of the things that brings me joy in my role is really getting to know students in their journey, but more importantly, our families, and helping them through this process. Having a student of my own right now, kind of getting ready for this process, it's a different experience. And so I want to make sure that all of the questions and things that I have as a parent, we are delivering that to you, understanding that Wichita State is very unique in the aspect that we are a first generation destination for many of our students. Almost 50% of our student population is first gen. And so when we're talking about how do I access my students' grades, or how do I pay bills, or what textbooks do my students need, what should they bring in regards to a computer or even school supplies, those are valid questions. And we want to make sure that we have the experts available to walk you through that process and what you can expect. And so tonight we're going to jump in with that. So with me, I'm going to have us do a brief introduction. So we're going to start with Gina Crabtree, our registrar, and then we'll throw it over to Lisa to get to jump in.
Hi, my name is Gina Crabtree, the University Registrar and Director of Enrollment Services. The Registrar's Office handles all things related to schedule and registration. We handle the university catalog and our degree audit. And we're also very involved, of course, in the fun topic of Furpa, which we'll talk about this evening.
Hi, I'm Lisa Telma. I'm the director of the Shocker stores, and I think we're going to start with textbooks tonight. So specifically, want to walk you through our website. Let me jump over there. And just show you some of the different features and things that will help you and your student with locating textbooks. So first and foremost, we want to go to the shockerstore.com. That's going to bring up our website. And primarily where you can get textbooks is going to be at the Radigan Student Center. We do have other store locations, but the Student Union is where textbooks can be picked up. Other locations can be viewed just by clicking on there, just so that you can see that. So on our drop-down menu, again, on that home page, we're going to go to the Course Materials tab, and we're going to click on Find My Textbooks. So if your student already has their schedule available to them, you can actually do a search 3 different ways. So you can either search by that CRN number, which is that 5-digit number after your course and section. You can try to find a book if you're looking for something specific that way. So keywords or the ISBN number that's located on the back of the book cover. And then also you can search by course. And so I have some courses just to bring up as an example. I do also want to point out that right now, online textbook ordering for the fall semester is closed. It does open up on Monday, July 15th, though. So we're going to just add some courses here for the fall semester, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. So some basics that incoming students will be enrolled in. We've got an English class, and you can add as many or as few classes as you want to this search menu. So we're going to bring up a math class, and that's that 5-digit number, that CRN that I'm typing right there. Let's see, we're going to throw in a biology class. The student is very loaded this semester if they're doing all of these. I also have a history class I want to show you. and one more after this, just to give you an idea of all the different kinds of course materials that we do offer through the Shocker store. So, all right, so we've got all 5 of those courses put in, or I guess 6 of those. And so what we're going to do is scroll down to the bottom. We're going to click on that View Your Materials arrow, and that's going to pull up everything then that we just typed in. So you can see for this Biology 210 class that it is actually an open education resource. That's what that OER means. And in essence, what this means is it's a free textbook that students can go out and access. The costs that are over here for print are going to be if they would want that in a print version. We do carry some of those in store as well. But you would click on that link and that would take you out then to that OpenStax website. In some cases, we also have summary information included, just giving a little bit more information about the book as well. For the English 100 class, you can see these are actual physical textbooks. These are things that are required in this class. Again, we have both new and used available. Since ordering doesn't open up until next Monday, again, you're not able to necessarily select these, but they would have little buttons that you could click on to go ahead and place those in your cart. Our English 102 class is actually in our Access Now program, and it's part of our digital course materials. So that's going to be an ebook. As you can see, we've tried to include some information letting you know, or your student know, that the ebook is actually going to be available in Blackboard, and I am going to demonstrate that in just a moment. Also, these digital course materials are automatically charged to your student account, and I believe charges did hit July 3rd for the fall semester. So if you see that listed, it's going to be digital book, and in this case, it would read our English 102 class. That's what that charge is referring to. And we'll talk about here in just a moment about how you can also, your student can opt out of that if they don't want the ebook. The History 101 class, you can see textbook requirements haven't been determined yet, or may not even be used in some cases. We are still receiving adoptions from faculty for fall classes. Again, you know, here it is, only July 9th. Classes start, I believe, August 19th. And so we still are waiting for some instructors to get us their information. So if for some reason your student would start class and there's still nothing showing on our website, be sure to have them check their syllabus that the faculty has provided. And they usually will list if there are any required materials for sure there. The Math 111 class is an actual code card. And in this case, we have 2 options that you could choose from, either purchasing the code card itself or purchasing a supplemental, it's a loose leaf, which is basically an unbound textbook. And so hence the different price costs. But again, that code would come with, that Alex code would come with that loose leaf. So those are the types of different materials that you'll see that we carry in the Shocker store. Information as far as Access Now. Last fall, we had about 13,000 students participate in this program, and we've been doing digital course materials. This will be our 6th year. And so in the spring, we had almost 12,000 students participate. And so for last academic year alone, we were able to save over $400,000 to our students in textbook fees by providing digital materials. So now, if for some reason your student doesn't want to do the ebook and prefers to have print, just have them contact us. We can definitely order those materials for them in a print version. We know digital is not the way everybody learns. You know, I know personally I like having that textbook or printed materials in my hand to be able to flip through and reference back to. So another thing I did want to mention as well is that first week of classes, we will have a special table set up on our textbook level in which myself and also representatives from a few of our publishing companies will be on hand to help students with any Access Now questions. it's not uncommon that a link might get broken, or maybe the instructor has moved where we have placed the link. So we're happy to help students however we can with finding that. And it also helps that we have reps there too. So if there is anything broken on the back end, they're able to remedy that right away. So, okay. So some classes just to look at, or one class in particular I did want to show you, is if we go out to Blackboard. And so to see what that digital ebook would look like for them. So I went to the wichita.edu homepage, just went to the click links there, and I'm going to click on the Blackboard. And so your student will need to log in, and we'll see if it pops up for me. I know to be asked for a password, but didn't ask this time. I've been playing with it earlier. So when I click on courses, I have myself enrolled right now in this public speaking class for the summer. So when we click on that, and your student would do the same. Apparently I have a speech due tomorrow, did not know that. But where we have tried to put that link in all of the Blackboard class shells is really under the content page. And again, since this is a summer class, it's pretty close to ending. So you can see there's a lot of things here that the instructor has put for them to do. Our information is going to be way down here at the bottom, but at the start of the semester, it should be at the very top. So we have included instructions on how to access those materials, and very, very easy to do. Basically, what they're going to do is just click on that Access Now Materials link. That's going to open up. Let me see if I can show that to you. That's going to open up the portal to be able to access that textbook. And so they would click this Read Now button to then be able to read the actual ebook. You'll notice, let me jump back, that we did include on here when the deadline to opt out is. We will include that on every Access Now or digital course materials post we do in Blackboard. In this case, you'll notice, obviously, we're past July 5th, so there is no opt-out option. If it was prior to then, you would see another button down here that says opt-out. Or if for some reason your student chooses to opt out after that date, they can definitely contact us as well. Okay. So other information then, just to be able to show you, again, for more information, we do have this handy dandy FAQ page. And so that link we have provided. And also, if you go back to our Shocker Store homepage, course materials, right there, that second option down says, what is Access Now? And that's going to come up with a bunch of frequently asked questions. So again, let's say it's Sunday afternoon. Obviously, the store isn't open. This would be a great place for your student to start if they had questions. And so just to drill down to know, how do I know if it's part of my class? Well, we would have it listed on the website. How do I access those materials? And we have provided some more information that we've just updated for the fall semester, including a tutorial video on how to access that ebook. And then we have links to our different publishers that provide courseware and how to access that. At the very least, I would suggest down here, this last button, who to contact if you do need help. And so we have a specific email address there that your student can reach out and provide to us how they're having troubles with their class. And so we just ask that they do include their student ID number, and then what class they're having issues with and what the particular problem is. If it is over the weekend or after store hours, after we've closed for the night, they can also contact our digital course provider, Vital Source, as well too. So, and other than that, the Shocker Store, we also carry school supplies. We have that fun apparel, t-shirts, sweatshirts, gifts, things like that. And then when it comes time for graduation, we carry the regalia as well too. So that's pretty much the Shocker Store in a nutshell. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about what we do, and say we're really excited to have your student on campus this fall. Thank you.
Perfect. I know this is always one thing that we love is when we talk about Shocker Store, it makes things real, right? It's like, okay, now we're looking at class schedules, my kids enrolled, and oh, now I got to get these textbooks. And so one thing that I'll share is I want to really give Lisa her flowers right now because her team has done a significant amount of work of working with our faculty to really try to bring down that cost of textbooks to our students. And so when she talks about the overall savings that we've been able to afford our students, it's going and having those intentional conversations and talking, I think at one point in time, Lisa, you shared that it could be anywhere from like 30 on up percent saved on textbooks, right?
Yes.
And that's huge. The other thing that I really like about the online textbooks is I'm enrolled in a class this summer, and my faculty member reminded me, Alicia, I can see that you really haven't read that much in your book. And I said, oh, that's because I'm old. I want to fill the pages, right? But I forgot to not to opt out of the online. And so she was like, oh, that makes complete sense, right? And so, but also knowing what your students' learning style is, and are they the student who is willing and able to do that, that online textbook, or is it someone like me who's like, I need to have the book in hands, right? And so if there's any questions throughout, feel free to drop those in the chat, and then we'll grab those at the end. But we're going to go ahead and turn things over to Miss Gina Crabtree, our fearless leader and everything registrar, and telling us, how do we access our students' records? What are things that parents need to know in relation to getting access to grades and everything else? Because the one thing we're constantly hearing is, I pay the bill, I need to get access. And so I listened to Gina, and she's like, hey, we don't have this signed, then we can't touch it. So I'm going to turn it over to Gina to have her share what that process looks like and how we can help you in that process. Gina?
Great, thank you. So it's a pleasure to be here to talk with families. I start by saying that my son actually is going to be a freshman this fall as well as my second child to be a shocker. So very excited. So when I talk about parent access and parent information and say we, I really mean we. The basics of Furpa, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, this is the law that governs access to student records. And the basics of it that we need to remember as parents is that any student in college, regardless of their age, so even if your student is starting this fall and they won't be 18 until maybe later in the semester, but any student who's enrolled in higher education, the rights to their education record belong to them. When our kids are in elementary and high school, the rights to their records belong to us. But as a college student, those rights belong to them. So really, as an institution, colleges and universities, our responsibility and obligation is to ensure that we follow the law regarding access to those student records. And the law says that the student is the only person who has absolute right to see the record, and that any other disclosures of student education records and information have to be approved by the student. So for us, the basics, the kind of statement I usually use is, we can't provide any information about a student's education record to a third party, and friends, parents, we are third parties in this law. We can't provide it to a third party without the student's express written consent. And written can be an electronic consent. So that's what we want to really talk about today, related to what we call a proxy access. So for us as parents, what does that mean? You can't call WSU and get information about your student's schedule. You can't contact us and ask how they did in their class or how they're doing in their class. Because the answers you'll get is, oh no, FERPA prevents us from providing that information to anyone but the student. So what we have is a functionality, a system that allows a student to log into their MyWSU portal. So let me back up a little bit. You might all be aware that your students have a MyWSU ID, a letter, 3 numbers, another letter, 3 numbers, and they log into MyWSU at wichita.edu. That's our portal. And in that portal, they can access a link to set up what we call a proxy. And when they click on Manage Proxies, it provides them with a list of all of the web pages, essentially, that they could give their family, their proxy. Could be a parent, usually is a parent, could be an employer. They can give what they want their proxy to have access to. Things like, I want my mom to see my schedule and maybe my grades, but maybe not my financial aid, or things like that. So the options within the proxy system are really limited to some academic information, again, schedule, grades, things like that. There's some financial aid information there. And then there are a couple of boxes that they can check that says, I give WSU permission to talk to my proxy if they call about the things that I've given them permission to view, as long as my proxy knows the passphrase. So your student, when they set up their proxy, they will set up a passphrase, not a password, but a passphrase, and they'll share that with you. So if you call WSU, that's the way that we know we are really talking to the authorized person. So at wichita.edu/proxy, there are links and information where a student can, again, see all the information about what access they can grant. And then the proxy can also see information about what a student could grant. And then there's an information about where the link for the proxy to log in. So once a student has established someone as their proxy, they've identified that person's email and what they want them to be able to see. The proxy will receive an email that says you need to go in and set up your own credentials, your own password for the system. And then there's a link there that you click on to and enter your credentials that you've created. And now you can see the items that the student has authorized. There'll be a link there for their schedule if they authorized you to view their schedule. There'll be a link there for their grades. And when I say grades, I want to clarify that it's only semester grades. We cannot provide you, there's no functionality in the proxy system to tell you what your student's current grade is in English 101 that they're in the 4th week of taking or whatever. It is only semester final grades. So the proxy can log in anytime, day or night, click on the things and see the information that the student has provided them with the authorization to see. Students can change their proxies at any time, so be aware that they can certainly go in and end the proxy access. They can add multiple proxies. We can have a proxy access for mom and for dad separately. Each proxy has to be a separate email address. If you have more than one student attending Wichita State, that one person can be a proxy for more than one student using the same email address. So there are lots of options there. So I really encourage folks to check out wichita.edu/proxy. Have conversations with your student about what it is that you want to see. Alicia mentioned something about we're paying the bill. And sometimes we have that carrot or stick, depending on how we look at it. But it's really important to have conversations with students about the ways in which they can share information with you, what information you want to be shared, what they're willing to share. Proxy will not allow for any sharing of information related to your bill. The bill is a separate system. You may have already, if you've come to orientation or perhaps at one of these other presentations, heard a little bit about the financial TouchNet system where you can log in separately and have an account to pay bills. So that's not part of proxy, but there is a checkbox there that says I give WSU permission to talk with my proxy about my bill. So again, for calling in. There's no information in proxy related to anything regarding the student health center, of course, no student health records. There's no employment information there if they were working on campus. And there's also no information in proxy related to student conduct issues. And hopefully none of your students will have any student conduct issues, but those offices and areas may have a separate process and form where a student could fill out a form and give authorization for that area to speak with you if there was something in particular that came up. But proxy is very much about academic information. Again, their schedule, there's some financial aid information there as well, and end of term grades. Those are the biggies that usually parents are interested in seeing, and so students have to determine what access they're going to provide. I would also encourage parents and students to look at wichita.edu/FURPA. That's our webpage that kind of gives more details, goes into greater detail than I have tonight, of course, related to the Furpa law. What are our students' rights under Furpa? What are the responsibilities of WSU? When can we and can we not disclose certain information? On that website, you'll see a summary of the law, information. Again, there's information in Spanish as well. You'll see a listing or a link for what we consider to be directory information. It's important for our families to know that we're not required to, but the law says we may provide directory information to a third party without the student's permission. And each institution has to detail what they consider to be directory information. So that is also on that website, wichita.edu/FURPA. So it's law stuff. It's not super exciting reading, but it is helpful information for you to be aware of. If you, again, have questions, that's a good place to start in terms of what WSU might be able to tell you or not tell you. As Lisa mentioned, we're all interested in being as helpful as we can. And so contacting the Office of the Registrar with questions, we will do anything we can to help you achieve your goals. Sometimes that does require us to say, sorry, that's information we cannot share, but also, again, would help to perhaps answer general questions rather than questions that are specific to your student's record, but that might still address your need. So really encourage folks to look at both that website and the /proxy website and really talk to students now. So you have those plans made, and the students who are admitted and enrolled are able to manage their proxies and set that up so they can get that going now, and will be all ready for when the students begin in the fall. Lisa, I think that's everything that I have. Any questions or things that you thought I was going to hit that I've missed there?
Yeah, so we do have some questions that came in. So one of the questions that came in, Gina, was can the proxy parent make appointments to discuss financial aid?
So yes, certainly any parent can make an appointment with an office, and folks would be happy to meet with you. What they can and cannot share within the confines of that meeting will depend on things. But if someone is established as a proxy, the Office of Financial Aid in this example can see in our system that they are the proxy, and then can know what the student is authorized to be discussed.
I also want to touch real quickly, Gina, on something that your office does every semester. And I'm so grateful that you do, because as a parent, you get it. And that is our emergency contacts. And so when those of our families who have already attended orientation, they've heard the stories of the need of when there's an urgent issue for us to have to contact families in an urgent matter, making sure that we have that emergency contact on file. And whether it's a family member who moves, whether it is a student who moves off campus, but making sure that we have the most up-to-date student information tied to the records, so that we can make sure that we're connecting and getting information to those individuals in a timely manner. And so I can't thank Gina and her folks enough, because they're on it. They know the work that we're doing on the other side, and the help of it really takes a village, right? And making sure that we are able to do everything that our students need us to do. But one thing that you said, Gina, is really critical in having those conversations of what are the expectations, because we hear that all the time is, well, I'm doing this, or, well, my student wouldn't let me see their grades, or my student, I haven't gotten a bill, I haven't received anything. And from the moment that our students are registered in classes, communication with families that's it. It goes directly to the student. And so it's really, how do we help our students advocate and navigate the university system for what they need, right? But also, how do we help get them to that point if there's a disconnect? And so making sure that you have the appropriate authorizations on file, and both with Gina and Lisa's, their teams, if your students or you ever have questions or concerns, pick up a phone and call them. I had an issue with my class because it's an online Cengage thing, and the link was disconnected, and I'm very impatient. So I was like, I'm going to go out and buy the book. I need this now. And I'm a book person anyway. But when I had walked in and I said, hey, they fixed it quickly. And her team is so patient of just helping to see our students are anxious and overwhelmed, and especially if your student has never used something like that before, right? It can be very overwhelming, but it's nice to be able to have somebody who's not only going to help meet them where they're at, but say, hey, this is what it looks like. Let's look in. And so my mom advice, I guess, out there, and Gina could probably co-sign on this, is have students click around in their MyWSU account. Yeah. See what's available. What does this button do? Where's that proxy at? Hey, let's go in and look at our account. And okay, so in here I can go in and see my schedule. What was the CRN, our course reference number? Let's get those numbers written down so we can look up textbooks, because all of that makes a huge difference in helping our students come to campus feeling more prepared, right? And ready to tackle the semester. So another question.
Oh, sorry, Alicia, I guess I would also just say that the home tab in MyWSU is where students can find the link that says view and update personal information. So it's really important that they go in and fill out that emergency contact information when they arrive here, or now before they arrive, because again, they can do that now, and keep that information updated if they change their address or whatever happens, so that we can really be in good contact with students, as well as you mentioned, have that emergency contact.
Yeah, absolutely. So a question that came up, Lisa, was if I find a used book for my student, do they need to have an access code? That's a great question.
Okay, so if some of those textbooks do come with codes, a lot of times what we have found is that if it's a used textbook, the code is not reusable. So I would err on the side of caution in knowing that, yes, you may find that used textbook, but you might be paying an additional cost then to get access using a physical code card. And we are seeing that publishers aren't necessarily using code cards as much as they had. Again, a lot of publishing companies have gone to this digital course materials, which is great for us. So we don't encounter those types of situations as often anymore.
Alicia, I also wanted to mention something. I think Lisa said earlier that she thought perhaps that bills were put out there on the 3rd, and so I'm involved in that process. So actually the bills, the accounts and fall tuition and fees are going to be assessed later this week. So it's not out there yet, but will be very soon. So starting then, maybe next week, I would say, folks might want to take a look at their student account and, again, their TouchNet account, if those things have been set up to begin making whatever arrangements for fee payment, that kind of thing. So,
and that is a perfect segue to my shameless plug of our upcoming family table talk, which is on July 16th, which is your shocker finances. And we're talking with financial aid and financial operations of, I'm having issues of, submitting my FAFSA, or how do I know what I'm getting? And then how do I pay the bill? I don't understand my bill. All of that, we'll go through that with you step by step with our experts on July 16th. Another question that came up, and Gina, you touched, I think, briefly on it, is that we're getting a lot of questions, especially at orientation, from families of, well, we're going to do the Furpa, but what if I don't have access to my students' health records? And so I think that's really important that you touched on, is that Furpa does not give access to those HIPAA protected records. And so if a student is seen at student health or over at our counseling and psychological services area, even Gina said student conduct. each of those entities have a release of information, an RYF form that students would again have to provide written permission of saying, hey, I give permission for. One of the things that we really ask families to have that intentional conversation prior to your student coming, especially if they have health issues. As a mom, if my student had health issues, I would want to know, hey, have they taken this? Where are we at with this? And so my student may only want to give me access to this limited record related to this particular issue, but they may not give me access to everything else. And so that's one thing to, again, have a conversation with your student. And if that's something that you're concerned about, making sure you reach out to those offices and get that release in advance so that we can have it on file prior to your student coming. So how do you create a WSU account? Gina, do you want to take, I guess?
So if we're talking about fee payment account, that is probably what's going to be covered at the next one. In terms of, so I think that's probably what we're talking about there. Your student, when they were admitted, then their MyWSU ID was assigned. And so they already have, and hopefully again, have set up their password and all of that kind of stuff. So they log in using that. I think there is a way you go from the portal, or they can go from portal to fee payment sites to TouchNet. And I think that TouchNet folks will talk about how you set up a guest account for parents to that system.
The other thing that I want to give a shameless plug for is our one-stop department. And this is a department that I like to say is like the university's secret weapon, because at any point in time, 365 days out of the year, 24/7, you can go online at any time and put, how do I pay my bill? Or how do I get Furpa or proxy access? How do I submit an authorized user? And so that information, once it's submitted, it's going to give you step-by-step instructions and screenshots of what that looks like. And so if you're not sure about that, I think it was Karen who asked the question for proxy access. If you go to wichita.edu/proxy, that information is listed out there on the website. But if you need further help, feel free to go to the One Stop, because they do a great job of showing you what those steps are in a screenshot order. And you can always call us again, and we can help walk you through that online as well. But that is a really great resource.
Sorry, Lisa, in terms of proxy, the student has to go in and establish the person as a proxy first. And then when they do that and list that email, then the parent will receive an email telling them how to set their stuff up. So have your students start.
Hit the wrong button. So the other thing, there was a question about financial aid in there. If your student has not come for orientation yet, that is something that you can do during orientation, is meet with one of our financial aid counselors. They are on standby. They have times available for folks to meet with you. But also, if you go to wichita.edu/financial aid, the student can set up an appointment to meet with them either virtually or on the phone, or they can go in person for the meeting. But that all can be scheduled online. And so I know there's a lot of questions right now about financial aid and what does that process look like? And we're still waiting, or maybe we have to get special permission or something. Making sure that you get in touch with those folks, and they can definitely help answer any of those questions. The last thing that I want to just share before we wrap things up, so if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, is Lisa's team does a phenomenal job. She said that textbooks go live for sale on July 15th. As a mom and a busy mom, I do not have time to wait in line to pay. And I can't tell you how long this line has historically been. I've at times I've seen it like kind of like wrap around, right, the store, and I'm like, what is everybody in here for? It's a big sale. No, it's textbooks. So be smart. When your student selects their move-in day, we're going to go ahead and be smart, and we are going to skip the line and order our books online. That means we're going to move our kiddos into the resident hall. Once they're settled in, you can walk over to the Radigan Student Center, go down to the lower level, have them show their Shocker ID, and we're going to give them their bag of textbooks, and you're going to exit the store really quickly and smooth. It is the best process ever. As someone who does not have a lot of time to waste, I'm telling you, save time, order online. And Lisa's team, they do a phenomenal job of getting those textbooks put together in advance to really make that process really smooth for our students and their families. And it's also interesting to know because a question came in is, do I need to buy all of the textbooks in advance? And I think that's something that, families, and it's kind of like flipping a coin, right? It's, you can wait and err on the side of like, do I need it? My faculty member is going to tell me I need it. But if you don't get it, you risk the chance of the book selling out, right? And so what's your take on that, Lisa?
There we go. So if anything, I would say with required textbooks, that is something that faculty, like I said, with their adoption, we find that they do use those. So it's when we get into the recommended, that's where I usually tell students and parents is wait a second until you actually have gone to class, have a chance to take a look at the syllabus, talk to the instructor, find out if it is something that will actually be used. I will tell you that we are looking at a record number of classes actually using digital courses for this fall. I think last count I saw was 570. So for the most part, again, when students have access to their Blackboard class, and at this point, I believe the earliest date is August 5th, we're already going to have the links put in for the ebooks or the courseware. So if you have one of those students that definitely wants to get an early jump on reading, get their homework started, as soon as that instructor opens up their Blackboard class, they can jump right in because they're going to have access to it. The other thing is we do offer buyback in our store. Let's say maybe your student goes ahead and buys all of their textbooks ahead of time, and God forbid some kind of emergency happens and they have to withdraw from classes for the fall semester. So on our website, we do, again, under that textbook menu option, we do offer buyback through our wholesaler publisher. And rental textbooks, yes, we still do offer those. I think in the examples I provided, I did not pick one that showed rental. So it doesn't mean we'll have rentals available for all textbooks, but if we do have them, again, they're going to be on that search menu and it's going to show you the different price points that are available. So new rental, used rental. You'll also see at the time when your student purchases, whether it be online or at the register in store, we're going to give them the due date for when that textbook is due back. And it's usually, I believe, the last day of the semester, or right after finals have ended. So again, that information is provided. I would say also that our return policy is clearly stated in the store as well as on the back of the receipts. But if you have a student enrolled in a pre-session class, we don't offer any refunds after the very first day of class because it is such a short session. For any full semester classes, where it's the full 16 weeks, they're going to have up to 10 days after the start date of the semester. And we do have that information posted both in the store in posters, and then we'll also have it out there on our website as well too. So again, if you're unsure whether they're going to need it or not, just please, please, please hang on to the receipt as well. That is something that we require for any kind of return to have money refunded to you. Now, I will say if you are shopping online and you want to get in and you want to get out, that's great. But I'm going to tell you right now, when you go downstairs to pick up your textbooks, you're going to see all the fabulous clearance racks that we have. So you might want to spend a little extra time there getting your Shocker swag on. So shameless plug, I apologize.
I've been out there one too many times, Lisa. So they got some really great stuff, especially if you're wanting to get that proud Shocker mom or Shocker dad shirt. They have a lot of really great stuff down there. Feel free, check them out. I am a Shockerholic, so I support 100%. The last thing before we close out, I just want to remind you that in August, you will have a parent family handbook that we will be mailing to you. In the handbook, we do have information that is specifically geared towards Furpa, proxy, and authorized user. So if you don't remember all of this information that was shared today, the content will be shared on our social media, and that will be available. But also, we will give you our parent family handbook in August into your mailbox, and that information will be available for you to reference back to when needed. If there's no other questions out there in Shocker land, we have 2 winners tonight. And our first winner is Michelle Ditas, and I may have butchered the name. So Michelle Ditas, and then also Tats Shepherd. And so you are the lovely winners of your Shocker swag here. So you can't go wrong with a Shocker parent family tumbler that will be coming to your mailbox soon. And so thank you for joining us. Also, on Thursday, we are having another parent family table talk, which is on July 11th. So this Thursday, and this specifically talks about your student accommodations. So if you have a student that has a IEP or a 504 in high school, making sure that you are getting them connected with our Office of Student accommodations and testing so that we can help them with those accommodations and transition to college. And so make sure you tune in for that. Other than that, thank you for joining us this evening. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call or send us an email. We are here to help you every step of the way. And we look forward to welcoming you and your students to campus soon. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye.